Hey, Larissa Russell. Thank you for joining me for Masterclass 1111 Live Life Simply. I am so excited that you're here with me today.
I am so excited to be here with you today.
You and I go back a little ways in working with the Queens of Kajabi, which is such an honor. I love that we actually do a mastermind together for the last 2 or 3 years. It seems like it might almost be 3 years.
Mhm.
And you have blessed me in so many ways. And I want you to share a little bit about who you are, what you do in your business, and then let's talk about this whole feminine masculine energy thing that you've got going on.
That we've all got going on.
We've all got going on.
Absolutely. So Larissa Russell of Creative You. Um, the bulk of my what I do is through Creative You healing and helping women step into their most authentic self using creativity to help through the healing process in a gentler way. And so that it encompasses a lot of things as creativity is in everything we do. But I also have Creative View Business, Creative View Publishing, Creative View Shop. There's a lot that goes on with Creative View, all the different aspects. I love helping women build their business and grow into their most passionate self about what they do. And so that's really important to me. And ended up here, how I ended up here was through my own personal journey of healing and using creativity to help heal my own self, realizing that you can't always rely on our medical system to fix everything. And so I needed to step into my own self and really do the work. And so when I realized that that work was really beneficial to me, I needed to share it. And so, yeah, that's how I do that in so many ways. And yes, Cheryl, I love our mastermind group. I think it's just an amazing collection of women. I don't know, I've belonged to so many groups and we just have such a connection there. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty amazing. And the fact that we are in different countries, yeah, different
Yeah.
countries.
Yeah.
Canada and the United States, and we all just meshed together. One of the funnest things that we did, just sidebar distraction, whatever, was during the pandemic, and we all did the Airbnb experience. That was so much fun, and I think that
Yeah.
brought us closer together. What I really like about our group is that we mesh well as feminine energy. And we
Hmm.
also have the masculine energy in there. You know, we have the D's and the I's and the masculine, feminine, whatever you want to categorize it as. And we still work very well together and we bring each other into projects together. And it's just a beautiful experience. But tell us more about this energy.
Well, and I think that's a really important point, what you just said there too, because we do have, because we're all women who are working on ourselves, right? We don't just have a business and we don't just, like we're working on all aspects of our life. We're working to be healthier, happier humans, and then also working on our business. So I think we are working on that balance. And one of the things about if you don't have an understanding of feminine and masculine energy, it's not about men and women, right? It's not about us versus them. It's about the actual energies and what the different energies bring. And we need both energies, right? Like we need that doer energy of the masculine, but we also need that intuitive, creative energy of the feminine. And
I want you
as
to repeat that again because I think you just said some really key words. The doer energy versus the
okay, yeah.
sorry, I know I catch you off guard. So the
No,
doer
that's okay.
energy comes out of the
The masculine energy, right? And that need to produce something. So we absolutely do need that. Do we need it to be our one and only focus, which has become in this patriarchal society that we live in, which is very um, almost to the extreme of the masculine energy, right? Because it's not a balance. And if we could find that balance of the creative and intuitive together with the doer and the strength of moving forward, then we have such a great balance. And I think that's one of the things that we have with the queens, is that we're working on all of those different things. We work on our intuition, we work on our creativity, you know, we work on how to bring that rest and relaxation into our life, while also doing the things that we need to do to, and there's so many different aspects of the energies, right? But the more we can bring them into balance within our own selves, and it's never like a 50-50. There's going to be a pendulum swing, right? Back and forth.
Right.
But we need to focus more on bringing the feminine energy in, because we have so much of the masculine energy in our society. And so we don't really need more of the masculine. We need a healthier version of the masculine.
Right.
But we need that feminine to come in to help bring us sort of back to center.
I love that
Sense.
so much, Larissa, especially in this day and age, right? Like the way that everything is playing out around the world. It's not just in Canada or the US, it is everywhere in the world. I saw something last night on YouTube or Instagram, and it was the ladies pulling off their habibs,
Job. Yeah, in
hijabs
Iran.
in
Mm-hmm.
Iran. I was like, oh my God, these are such pivotal moments that we're in. And
Mm-hmm.
they're just wanting to voice their opinion and show their femininity in many
And
ways.
literally risking their lives to do so.
Yes. And why do we have to risk our lives to live in a feminine energy is amazing to me. So I sidebarred on that. But tell us a little bit more about, the work that you're doing around this, how it is feeding into your business, and how we as listeners can begin to practice these things ourselves.
Yeah. So I get what I call downloads, right? So this is the divine spirit that actually feeds information to me. And it took me a while to recognize when I needed to listen and when I didn't, because I'm a rather rebellious person. I'm like, you can't tell me what to do. But I've found that the more I listen, the easier things get. So just listening. So this may have been about 3 months ago now, maybe 3 months ago. And I got this download in the middle of the night about the awakening of the feminine divine and how we needed to share this information. And so here I was, like, typing myself an email from bed at 3 o'clock in the morning so that it would be there at my, when I got to work in the morning. And it was amazing. But what I found was, in that same week that I was putting this program together, we call it Awakening, I probably saw about 6 other people put out almost exactly the same wording, right? That we all got that information at the same time. And so some people got it out a little quicker, and I'm still seeing it. And so it's really about that collective energy, and then making sure that we get to as many people as possible to share the information, because we have been fed through our lifetime and this culture of ours, this patriarchal culture, that, like, patriarchy doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just we've gone to such an extreme that it is, right? And so to bring that balance, we and I work with women, so that's why I talk about women, but men and women need this. We need to bring the feminine back, that feminine energy, to bring more of that balance. And so one of the ways that I do it, well, I've incorporated it into all of my programs. We talk about it a lot, but I have a program called Awakening. And then we actually delve into all of the aspects of the feminine divine, all those energies that we, I don't want to say should, but that we need for balance, right? Things like self-care, intuition, creativity, really being heart-centered and moving in a way that feels safe and comfortable for our own selves, right? Like, but not in a way that's going to hurt other people, being aware, and then really connecting back to nature as well, because nature is such an important component. I mean, Mother Earth, that is the divine feminine right there, and we're destroying her.
Yeah.
So, we just getting back to nature and what's important.
Okay, I'm going to
To
stop you for 1 second because you may be using language that people are not really familiar with. So let's talk about heart center.
Mm-hmm.
Heart center.
Yeah. So that's leading with your heart, but not not in the way that um you might get into a relationship and you're like all excited and you feel like, oh, I love this person, and it's a toxic relationship because you're just so not that kind of heart-centered where you're just, but heart-centered as in, what are you passionate about? What are you what do you what is your purpose in the world? What do you need to bring into the world to share and help? Those sort of things. That's heart-centered, right? Being really leading with not the almighty dollar, but that passion.
Right. And
Yeah.
then when we talk about masculine, feminine, some of the other languages or words that are used to describe that, is that yin and yang?
Yes, absolutely. It's not a language that I use particularly, but that's exactly it, right? That balance. And so, yes, yin is the feminine energy, yang is the masculine energy. And yeah, I was like, I have to hold the little circle
Oh,
to,
okay. And then when
to
you talk about energy, what can you put a little bit of description around energy for people that
yeah. So like even the scientists, I say even the scientists are now understanding that energy is in everything, right? And so we are all connected by that energy. Everyone, everything is connected with an energy. And we can feel it. Like, think about, like, this is a very typical one for women. You're walking to your car at night and the hairs raise on the back of your neck, right? And you realize there's somebody else. They haven't made a sound, they haven't, but you can feel them. And that's the energy, right? That's one that women can typically associate,
right, right.
because I think it's happened to all of us. But you have that with everyone and everything, whether it's positive or negative. But it's learning to pay attention to it, right? Learning to pay attention to that energy so that you can feel into whether something's a positive or negative for you, whether it's a good direction for you. And that's where that really building up our intuition is an important part of that, because
Right.
we tap into our intuition for fear, but we don't typically tap into our intuition for other things.
And we
You
can
know,
use it in everything. Before we take
everything.
a deeper dive into intuition, I want to stay a little bit on the words of energy. And you mentioned the collective energy, like when you first started diving a little bit deeper into the feminine divine, you saw that there was a collective energy that was bubbling up. Talk a
Mhm.
little bit about a collective.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of, we are all one, right?
All
And
connected,
so
all right?
we forget that. We forget that we are all one. And because we've got different barriers in our culture or society, we have country borders, we have colors of people, we have, different nationality, like all the different things that make us, sexual orientation, whatever it is, male, female, that make us separate, which is really great for putting people in little boxes. But it's not so great for people to understand how we are all connected. So when we hurt, um, you know, let's think about what's going on with the immigrants in different countries now, right? So when we hurt that sect of people, we're hurting our own self. When we and we act individually, but the energy is collective, and then that builds. So you see how much the anger and hate has been opened up, right? And it's coming from this place of fear, and that energy has built so that we have more. It feels like just like everybody is hating and everybody, they're not. We actually have such um, a huge energy of healers and um, of a collection of people, not all healers, but people who are tapped into the positive changes and this awakening that's happening. And we're going to see a lot of this pushback because of that, right? So this collective energy, you can see it all over the world, right? We've got the war with Ukraine. We've got the women standing up in Iran. We've got, like, there's just things all over the place that are happening. American politics, but we won't get into
You
that
are
one.
there right now. Oh my God, it is. It's
Yeah, yeah. So, but underneath that, we're the connection of humans that are making change and are stepping into their personal power to affect that change is that collective energy. But until we can I, bring balance, right? We have to bring balance. So we
I
need
think that
to.
the thing is that there is this awakening taking place. Like there is a big, many of us are coming out of structured religion and understanding the spirituality of who we are. And with that bubbling up, we're also embracing the feminine divine, understanding what masculine energy looks like. We're understanding energy overall to bring us into balance or into the next phase of what our creation is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely.
How I'm feeling about it.
The masculine has not been in power always, right? The patriarchy has not been this swayed to one side always. So, always the pendulum swings.
Right.
So we're just seeing, we're in that point now where it's like starting to go. And so then we'll have to like come back to a place of balance. So we're going to see a lot of this pushback all over the world, right? Because everything is shifting. Everything is shifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really amazing to be alive at this point and to see all of the things that are happening because we have an eruption of technology or disruption of technology. We've got a disruption of race relations, inclusion, diversity, all of that. We've got a disruption of the workplace. It is,
Yeah.
that whole thing is making a shift. We've got a disruption of people becoming more gig worker oriented because we don't want to be involved in the politics that are involved in the patriarchal corporations that we were once working in. And we've learned that using our feminine energy, we can still nurture a group of people and be very successful entrepreneurs. Right?
Absolutely. And, you know, the currency of our world is the almighty dollar, whatever it's called, wherever it is in the world. We need money, right? So if you are going to work for yourself, you can't, you could be a volunteer if you have another source of income, I guess, a partner or you're independently wealthy, whatever it is, you philanthropic. However, most of us need to survive in this world. And so it's finding that balance for our own self. So how I do that is like make my business more heart-centered, recognizing I still need to make money. So I have different price points for things, right? I pay my employees a fair wage. I do different things that feel right in my business that don't make me feel anxious because I'm trying to fit into a mold. I did do that when I started my business. I'm not going to lie, because I was trying so hard to make it work. Well, when I let go and actually allowed spirit in, allowed that what felt right to me, my intuition, my feminine energy in, everything just fell into place. It's just such a
Gave me
huge
like a
difference.
big breath, like a breath of fresh air, like, whew.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
So
it's
you
just like,
actually use that in a mindful manner, like you started practicing a bit more mindfulness about your business,
oh, yes. Yeah.
listening to your intuition. Tell us a little bit more about how you're using intuition overall.
You know, I needed to practice it, right? I needed to practice that. So I have some exercises I've worked with some of my ladies with on that, but simple things like, you know, how does this feel? Like anytime I go to make a decision, rather than writing down the pros and cons and all of those things, but how does it feel in my body? And it can feel like we often talk about the gut, but it could be somewhere else in your body, right? But learning to pay attention to that. So I've learned where it sits in my body, and it's sort of above my stomach, sort of almost heart, right? Almost the heart area. Yeah, it's well, breast area, that feminine. So I can feel it there, and it feels expansive when it's good and right for me, and it feels tight and constrictive when it's not. And when I try to force it because I think I should be doing it that way because everybody else did, or someone else has told me to, it doesn't work out. So, but I had to learn where to feel that in my body first, right? So paying attention to that. And that could be as simple as, should I turn left or right? Should I, you can practice that in so many different ways to see what is the best direction for you to go. But also just learning to ask the questions. What is in my best interest right now? What do I need right now to move forward? Not, to get to X, right? What do I need to get to this? Because we're still directing. So what is in my best interest, or what do I need to move forward? And then listening to that. And often we hear it and then we ignore it. But if you actually listen to it, it's like, oh, right? And even if you're not willing to do it yet, just write it down, because, in a week, a month, a year, you'll be like, oh yeah, I was told, I didn't listen.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
took me a little while of doing that.
And then we talk about that as being downloads into
Mm-hmm.
our intuition, or our intuition talking us through, and we consider it a download. Some
Yeah.
of the time, not everything, but when we get, so I want to just talk about this download for a second. When we get downloads are almost like the world has been moved when you get something so clear and it's so succinct with the way that you think. And then you just say, okay, I used to say that all the time, like God gives me a
God
download, I take
shots, or
it,
yeah.
yeah, take it, and I take action.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of a difference between intuition and downloads, but intuition drives the download, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or
Yeah, absolutely.
influences the download. No, downloads influence intuition. Hmm.
It's all part of the same, as in intuition is feeling into something, right? Those downloads are because you've opened up and you are able to feel into something. New things can be handed to you, right? And that's, I think about over the years, so many ideas I've had, and then I didn't do anything with them, and then somebody else did. And because we're not the only ones getting these downloads, right? We are a collective energy. We are together. We are one. And so who's going to do it? Who's going to do it?
Let's talk about something now. Hopefully you're open for this one. You and I were both laid off out of corporate,
Yeah.
right? I was laid off more than once. I'm not sure about your situation. I remember one of the stories, but
Yeah.
often I think that people are given the gift of being laid off, especially after we've asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and what that ask for it would be like, God, I wish I could just sleep until 10 o'clock and get up and work for myself. Gosh, I wish that I could just do what I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And we ignore those. And then because of ignoring it, we may end up with,
The opportunity that we
we
weren't
didn't
expecting.
want, right? And well, even taking that layoff package and using it at that time, or just end up with illnesses because we go back in and go against what
Mm-hmm.
has been given to us.
Yeah. That's
Resistance.
absolutely been my journey, right? I think about the first time, was that the first time? I was laid off about 3 months before my partner died.
Mm.
And now I can see that for what it, well, for what it was. I had the space to grieve. I had the space to, deal with all of that and make choices in my life. I started painting again. I started, all of these things, which really changed the direction of things. Unfortunately, I did go back to work because I didn't sit in that energy, even though I knew I wanted to work for myself. I didn't. And then I was doing Creative You off the side of my desk while I was working, and I was laid off again. And this time I was like, you know what? It's time. Like, I got a package. It gave me a little bit of space to think, and not a big one, but enough that I had a couple of months grace that I could think about, how I wanted to do it. And then I just was like, you know what? I'm not going back. And
Mm.
here it is, 4 years later. And yeah, I'm not going back, right? Because I fully embraced it. With all of that, I had to do a lot of work on my own self, right? Because it comes with all of the,
The
I'm
work.
not good enough. I'm not, all of those things. But I also recognized that it was literally killing me, right? The depression, the anxiety, all of those things. I had a near death experience with my depression. And I finally realized that I cannot do that to myself. I've had to, no, I haven't had to. I have made changes in my business in the direction and what feels better, what works better, all of those things. So I'm not the exact same thing that I started 4 years ago to where I am now, but I am in the same business because I've been able to work on my own self and start to pay attention and be more kind to myself is really a big part of it.
Yeah, so that brings us back to the whole feminine energy thing, right?
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, one of the things that we do when we first get into our own business is we go at it like bam, 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 right? Like we're definitely doers, definitely even with our side hustles already established, we're going at it when you get out there because there's that big fear factor. There's something driving you that encourages you, inspires you to not want to go back into a work environment, a corporate type environment where you're working for others. And then once you get to a little bit of a sweet spot, which could be a very stressful journey up for you, once you get to a sweet spot, you just know.
Mhm.
You just kind of sit in it, settle in it, and then your business begins to evolve.
Mhm.
So tell
Yeah.
us how your business has begun to evolve and then how you are using that evolution to live life simply.
Yeah. So one of the big things for me was I had been fighting spirit for so long, right? And
I have to laugh because I know a little bit about
yeah,
the dirty. I hear you. I'm not listening to you.
it's true. It's so true. And I'd always considered myself a very spiritual person. I had studied so many different modalities. I'd studied under, a shaman. I'd, uh, done all these different healing modalities as well as the spiritual, so many things. I've been on, backwood adventures in nature to commune, and I've done them all. And I was very deep in it. And then about the time that my spouse died, and I had a really scary, now I recognize as scary. I thought it was a sign at the time, but a situation that happened in some journey work that I was doing. So in journey work, you distract the conscious mind with drums, and then you can go deeper into the subconscious, right?
With
And
drums?
yeah, with drums, like hand drums. So there's somebody else drumming while you're doing the journey work. And so a bad situation and a spirit guide that I had died. And I took that as a sign that this was not for me. There was a lot of other things going on at the same time. I was, dealing with death and grief and some other shifts in my life. And so I just stepped away from spirit for quite a while. And then last year, about a year and a half ago now, one of my closest friends died, and she was a shamanic practitioner. I'd studied under her for years. And when she died, I kept getting those little, she would come and visit and poke. And my partner is a psychic medium. And so she would be,
I didn't know that.
oh yeah, Tammy's a psychic medium. Yeah, she does readings all over the world and stuff. Yeah, she's very good. Very, very good. And so my friend Cricket would come through Tammy and, say things. I don't hear the words so much. I get the sense or the, sometimes I hear the words. So, but I try to like ignore it. And she would just be like bugging me. And, and I'm just like, you know what, you're dead. You don't get to come back. Like, call me, make an appointment. I'm an appointment person. You want to see me, make an appointment. You don't just get to show up in my living room. Anyway, so it's part of the rebellious, like, don't tell me what to do thing. But it kept going. And then there was a couple of events that happened around that, where her daughter passed away as well. And then her son, and then her son's partner was getting bothered by the daughter. Like, there was just a lot of things that happened at the same time. And she's like, this is the message I got from her. I cannot look after you any longer. You need to do this. Because she had all these other things happening, right? She's dead. Her daughter's dead. I'm a rather blunt person. Sorry. No offense to people who, and so all of these things happened. And basically what she was saying is that I've been carrying you spiritually in life, and now I cannot keep doing that. You have to pick up from here, right? Like, I can't keep doing that. And I was like that was like a lightning bolt moment for me. And I was like, oh, I get it now. I get it. Yeah, goosebump moment, right? And so I was like, oh, so then I had to start paying attention. And I've had a few arguments because, rebellious. But I do.
Correct. Yeah.
I do tend to listen more now. And when I don't, I know right away, because when we don't listen, those patterns repeat, right? Those things that we need to do, or the direction that our purpose, our path, if we don't follow it, we're going to keep getting redirected there.
Yeah.
And the less you pay attention, the more you get hit upside the head with the 2x4, is what I say.
And the impact on our bodies physically, right?
Yes.
The whole resistance, the stress, the fight or flight, the parasympathetic, sympathetic system, all of that makes a difference. And we're going to have, actually, we had people already talk about that in a previous videos. I've got 3 doctors, 1 or 2 of them are going to have talked about the impact of stress on our bodies when we don't listen.
Yeah. It's huge. And to the point where, like, my cortisol levels, like, according to my doctor, are fine. According to my naturopath, are a hot mess, because they do a different type of testing, right? And so I'm now working to try and get my cortisol levels back to some semblance of how they're supposed to work, instead of being upside down. Yeah, absolutely.
So much that we do, we may not even really understand the impact, even from birth all the way through to wherever we are in our lives, that it has on our, is it parasympathetic system? Whatever it is, the fight or flight system.
Mm-hmm.
And then it accumulates and turns into trauma or drama. And then we end up in places like this, where we're entrepreneurs talking about spiritual healing and meeting amazing people around the world. So tell me a little bit more about how you are using all that you do to help others and to help yourself live life simply.
It really is about going in, right? Like, turning inward, and not having that when I think about simply, I'm like not having all that input from everybody else, because, I struggled for years with like making everybody else happy, as most women do. I struggled with, um, am I doing the right thing? Am I enough? Am I all of those things? And the more you turn in like this, for me, it's the more I'm just like, oh, right, I can breathe. And so I do my passion projects. I have a nonprofit where I help LGBT plus youth. We have resources, we share stories, because our suicide rate is 8 times higher than hetero youth. And so it's really important for them to have an understanding and a safe place. And so I try to provide the resources for that, and also information and stories that they can connect to. And that being in my own business, being an entrepreneur, has allowed me that, right, to be able to do that. But when I think about living life simply, it's mostly about those outside distractions, and turning inward, and connecting with nature, and really not doing because of the expectation, not doing because other people require it of me. If I had small children, I don't know that I could be, you're responsible for small children. You are not responsible for anybody else. Small children and pets, that's it. Everybody else is a grown up. They can do it.
Yeah, yeah. What
So
about your painting? Do you use that too? Are any of those paintings behind you for sale?
a couple of them, yes. Yes, a couple of them are. I don't have them on the website right now. We're rebuilding my art just because I haven't been painting as much.
Yeah.
But yes, they are. I do try to find more time to paint. I do creation in different ways, right? Creativity is super important to me. I have to do it every day, but it looks different every day. Some days I paint, some days I'm creating. I love to make journals, like books, but I also enjoy building a landing page on my website, or spreadsheets are my favorite. Ask anyone who knows me. Spreadsheets, and they're color coded, and they do all these different things. I love spreadsheets because creativity is in everything we do. And so it's in my business and how I grow it. It's in the cooking, or I'm more of a baker. My wife does more of the cooking. The creativity is in everything, and we are all creative. I hear the number one thing I hear is, I'm not creative. Yeah, you're human. You are creative. You just
Yeah.
haven't found your thing, or you don't associate creativity with what you're doing. You think creativity is being a best-selling author, or playing in a symphony, or all of those things that our masculine energy world expects, right? We're supposed to be the best of, but we don't give ourselves time and space to practice and do, right? And just be. We don't
Yeah.
give ourselves time and space for that, but we're supposed to be the best of. Well, how do you become the best of?
You quiet your spirit and go do something creative or mindful.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about the journaling exercise that you are giving away for free.
Yeah, so this is a wonderful one. And I actually did the process with you last year, and now I offer it just as a free gift to people who come to wonderful summits like yours, Masterclass 1111. And it's an intuitive journaling and meditation. So there's a meditation, and then the exercise of intuitive journaling. And it's such an important practice. uh, Many people journal. I'm a huge journaling proponent. Like I do journaling in all my programs, right, of some sort. Intuitive journaling is a little bit different. It's about tapping in. It's about asking questions and receiving the answers. And I find that there are even times when I'm intuitive journaling, my handwriting will actually change from the question to the answer, which I find really interesting, because really it's all within. So don't expect that your handwriting will change, but I do find there are
Yeah.
times when it does. But it's all within, but it's about that stopping to listen, right? And so this exercise will walk you through how to do that, how to pay attention, just sort of setting yourself some space and allowing that. And I know you had some profound information come to you, and you still use that practice, I think.
I do. When I can remember, but it's funny because of where I'm at right now. She's sitting right here next to me, waiting
Mm-hmm.
for me, get the downloads on this whole journey that we're going through right now. So
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Larissa. I appreciate you taking the time out to have the conversation with us and to participate in Masterclass 1111, Live Life Simply. Is there anything else you want to say as we sign off?
Well, just that I would do anything for you. You are one of my favorite people. So absolutely. And I just want to remind people to be kind to themselves, right? Like, so when you're trying to make a shift, or you think you need to make a shift, or you're ready to make a shift, just allow some space and compassion for your own self to not do it perfectly, not do it every day, not do it every moment, right? It's a process. And we have been so conditioned in one way, and we have to undo that conditioning. And so be kind to yourself as you start to work towards that. Yeah.
Awesome. What great words of wisdom. Thank you again.
Yes. Thank
So if you
you.
all want to reach out to Larissa directly, you can reach her at creativeyouhealing.com and you can do contact us. Or do you want to share an email address? Plus, it'll be in the information provided below.
Yeah. My direct email is Larissa, Larissa, at creativeyou, that's the letter U.ca. Our website, creativeyouhealing.com. And yeah, check us out because we have lots of great things. And then we have, the business aspect as well, creativeviewbusiness.com. And we're, doing great things, and come join us.
Awesome. Thanks again. Love you, girl.
Love you too.